Here's your shot at winning $1,000. Text the national keyword money right now to 95819. That's MONEY to 95819. We'll text you back to confirm your entry. Data and messaging rates may apply. Please don't text and drive. It's $5K a day on WMAL. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
Busy times on this 21st day of October. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in to Larry and Julie. Coming up at 7:35, Byron York of the Washington Examiner. And then at 8:05, Marianne Jensen, Prince William County mom. She's just trying to start a Turning Point chapter for her child. And boy, the roadblocks she's getting from the usual suspects. That's coming up. Good morning, Julie Gunlock.
Good morning.
We are 2 weeks away from Election Day in Virginia. Of course, voting's been going on for a while, and the in-person early voting has just expanded. John Reid, your candidate for Lieutenant Governor, Republicans, just dropped an ad last night, and it is powerful. Take a listen.
I love running. Mommy says I'm fast like her when she was little. Someday I want to win a medal, too.
But Ghazala Hashmi thinks it's fair to let biological men compete in women's sports. Our daughters work hard for their dreams, but politics is taking them away. John Reid will protect women's sports and make sure every little girl in Virginia gets a fair shot at their dreams. John Reid for Lieutenant Governor.
Joining us now is the intolerant bigot John Reid, who actually thinks that women's sports should be for women only. John, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
I'm sure that is how I will be referred to today for actually standing up for people like my own sister, who was a high school athlete and a college athlete. So this, it's not personal to me. It is personal to my family, and I'll be damned if I'm going to run for statewide office and not be bold enough to speak up.
Well said. And I got to say, the polls have been pretty consistent for the last several months. Of all of the three statewide races, John Reid, you have always been there neck and neck with Ghazala Hashmi. Now, of course, we've seen movement in the Miyares-Jones race, and we've seen quite a bit of movement with Winsome Sears now within striking distance of Abigail Spanberger. But you're right there, and it's remarkable considering how you've been outspent. Ghazala Hashmi is tapped into that big money Democrat network, and it's Davy versus Goliath here in the Commonwealth.
Yeah, she's raised, I think, more than $5 million now. And, for a variety of reasons that we don't need to spend time on, I'm stuck at about $1 million. There have been some people who I think have tried to suffocate me and push me under, but that's okay. Hard work still counts, and I'm up every morning. I was at Washington and Lee University speaking to students last night in Lexington. And I'll be back at University of Virginia speaking to students today because I am not going to give up on the young voters in the Commonwealth. I think a lot of them recognize that something is wrong, and they know their future is actually on the ballot this year. And if we get out and talk to them like real people, not in a condescending, lecturing way, and listen, I think we can win a percentage of those votes. So that's part of where my effort will be in the next couple of weeks, trying to win those guys over to us.
Mr. Reid, why won't Ghazala Hashmi debate you? This is something that is not being talked about, obviously, from the mainstream, or rather, I should say, the left media in Virginia. But she's kind of running this, if for a better term, from her basement. She doesn't want to face you. She doesn't really want to face the voters. Why do you think that is?
It is a Biden basement campaign redux. It is shocking that the media is not offended. Look, I offered 10 debates across the Commonwealth. I kind of knew she wouldn't accept that, but I thought, you know what, I'll show how transparent I am. She hadn't agreed to even one of them, even at national public radio in D.C. I mean, how much more can I rig it in her favor? She refuses to do any of it. And, once or twice a week you'll see her appear before a union group or a big leftist group. She's not out shaking hands with random people. She's not doing festivals and fairs and forums. She is hiding. And I do think the voters of Virginia, if they're aware that she's in hiding, and she's the only person out of the six of us who are running for statewide office, governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, she's the only one who won't agree to even a single debate, I think people will be offended. Maybe I'm wrong, but I still think the average voter believes this is a part of democracy, right? And this is a part of our American tradition.
And the American tradition actually began in Virginia. The idea that the home of the Jamestown colony and the vaunted Virginia legislature pre-revolution would somehow elect a person who refuses to engage in a debate of ideas with their political opponent is, you're right, offensive to the very core of being a Virginian. How do you see this over the next 2 weeks? Clearly, this ad that we just played, you recognize that this is a real vulnerable point for Democrats right now, from this issue, the protecting women's sports, to protecting women's spaces like locker rooms and bathrooms from sexual predators like Richard Cox in Northern Virginia, to the Jay Jones issue. It's kind of a target-rich environment, and it looks like Democrats don't have a clear response to any of those things.
Well, that's because they have no standards, and that is being revealed. I mean, look, do you think that as a Republican, I got caught going 116 miles an hour near a work zone? I'm still not sure. Was there drinking involved or not drinking involved? I mean, does anybody want to answer that question, honestly? Do you think I'd still be in this race? No, because Republicans wouldn't tolerate it. And I think the press wouldn't tolerate it. But because it's Jay Jones, they bring it up. They act like that is actually scrutiny, and then they let him stay in the race. Yeah. Same thing with threatening to murder your political opponents and their children. I mean, at some point, do we not recognize that we are being played for fools by people who do not have standards, who only want political power? And the only way to stop it is to prevent them from gaining that political power. These are the same people who went after Justin Fairfax for alleged rape allegations that were never documented, and said that he had to step aside as lieutenant governor. They did the same thing to their own governor over the blackface photos. Why? Because it was politically expedient for them at the moment. It had nothing to do with their standards, because they have no standards, and we have got to point it out and hold them accountable.
Speaking with John Reid, he's the candidate for lieutenant governor in Virginia with the rising big momentum ticket there with Winsome Earl-Stairs and Jason Miyares. John Reid, you hear Abigail Spanberger talk about affordability all of the time, and yet she doesn't back reducing the car tax. She doesn't back reducing any taxes or regulations, for that matter, things that a governor can do that are having tangible results on how expensive it is to be in Virginia. Did you take heed of President Trump's advice the other day on Air Force One, where he said, one of the top issues in Virginia is energy and energy costs? Trump knows what he's talking about usually when it comes to politics and winning elections. Is this something Republicans need to seize on in these final 2 weeks about the Democrats' very expensive energy agenda?
Yeah, it is a standard part of what I talk about. Do you want the government dictating what car you can drive, while at the same time telling you that we're not going to utilize the natural resources we have, throwing impediments in the way of expanding energy opportunity? I mean, Glenn Youngkin's actually been a pretty good leader on this. The small modular nuclear reactor plan that he's put in place, to me, that seems like the only thing that might save us from the rolling brownouts and blackouts that are being predicted in the next decade. If we don't get on the stick and start using every opportunity to generate energy and bring those costs down, it's going to be crushing for the average person. The rich Democrats aren't going to worry about it. They'll be able to pay their bills, and they'll bring in generators to their house to make sure that if there's a blackout, it doesn't affect them. They're not worried. But the rest of us have got to be worried, and that's why you need responsible and reasonable leaders who aren't just catering to some sort of environmental activist elite who really don't care about the average Virginian.
It's the home stretch, 2 weeks until Election Day. Early voting just expanded. Get out there. John Reid, your nominee for lieutenant governor. Thanks for joining us. And, you need to get back to work now, knocking on doors and kissing babies. And
I will be on the road solid for the next 14 days. Don't you guys worry. But I always appreciate the chance to come on the air with you. Thank you.
You bet. 7:15 WMAL.
Your next $1,000 could be one text away. It's $5K a day on WMAL.
It's hard to believe that it's been just over 40 days since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, murdered in cold blood for expressing his opinions, speaking his mind, and engaging in an open, friendly debate on a college campus. by a person who it appears was motivated by his own hatred over the transgender issue. But since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, we've seen something remarkable across this country, most specifically on college and high school campuses. There have been thousands of new Turning Point USA chapters started. Children, even in middle school and junior high school, not just Turning Point USA, Young America's Foundation also has seen a huge increase in their chapters sprouting up because people are responding to this hatred and intolerance and violence and evil by wanting more debate, by wanting to engage more, by wanting to find out alternate ideas. And, well, the same thing could have happened in Prince William County, as a young man wanted to start a high school chapter of Turning Point USA, a son of Mary Ann Jensen, friend of this program, who has often gone to the Prince William County School Board and challenged them on various policies, including gender identity and COVID-19 masking. And, well, her son saw lots of obstacles trying to open up a chapter in Charlie Kirk's memory. And Mary Ann Jensen took to the school board podium the other day and let her elected officials know. Take a listen.
My name is Mary Ann Jensen. My son and his friends showed remarkable initiative in starting a Turning Point USA chapter at Patriot High School, a club open to all students that promotes civic engagement, leadership, and open dialogue, qualities we want every student to develop. Yet starting this club has been an uphill battle. No teacher would sponsor it, fearing backlash in today's polarized climate that many of you on this board have created, and the students faced excessive hurdles just to get it approved. This is unacceptable. When the Young Democrats Club and the LGBTQ Club can be approved with no problem, why the double standard? Mr. Tracy Blake's verbal assault on Ms. Tredenick after the October 1st board meeting for her support of the Turning Point Club exposes your hypocrisy. You allow a board member to bully a female board member while preaching inclusivity, stifling conservative voices and free speech for our kids. Mr. Blake, you are a toxic example to our children. I watched a school board member storm out of my speech last year, rejecting my differing views. Leaders who ditch civility betray our children, holding them to a higher standard than you enforce on this board. Your hypocrisy erodes the values you claim to champion. Turning Point USA is mislabeled as divisive and racist by the left. The students in this club are handing out pocket constitutions and American flags to foster free speech. Calling this racist is absurd, and it denigrates that term. This board's committed to tolerance, right? This means tolerating all forms of constitutionally free speech. We demand more from you. We demand that Mr. Tracy Blake resign because you know that is right. And you can keep smiling, Mr. Blake.
Keep smugging. I like that slip. Mary Ann Jensen, by the way, will be joining us to discuss this and many issues at 8:05. A little backstory here. Erica Tredenick was engaged in a conversation with other people after a school board meeting on October 1st. This guy, Tracy Blake, the vice chair of the school board, well, I'll read what Erica Tredenick said in her own Facebook post. I experienced an aggressive and unprovoked confrontation from Tracy Blake. He joined a conversation he was not part of, shouted profanities, invaded my personal space, made troubling remarks about my character, and continued to pursue me even after I walked away and made it clear I wanted the interaction to end. He also made a threatening remark involving my husband, who was not present, further escalating the intimidation. His behavior was so alarming that I had to ask security personnel to escort me back to my vehicle. Here's how bad it was. My understanding is Jay Jones texted the guy and said, dude, you got to chill out, man. It's too much. This Tracy Blake person has been publicly censured by the Prince William County School Board, but Ms. Jensen is correct. He should resign. This is conduct unbecoming a person who's just supposed to be there for the children, Julie.
Yeah. This guy is a loose cannon and obviously dangerous. And I mean, we have Virginia politicians, Jay Jones, you mentioned, who have some pretty dark private thoughts. So I'm glad they censured him. He should have been encouraged to resign. He should have resigned. There's no place for him.
Absolutely. And by the way, just, not to dredge up things of the past, but in 2023, the Prince William Times reported that Mr. Blake had a string of criminal convictions, including charges for possessing narcotics, illegally carrying a loaded concealed weapon, and DUIs. And he spent time in jail and on house arrest. And he's your school board member.
Well,
And the teachers union 100% support him.
He has a future in Iowa. I hear they have an opening out there.
As the superintendent?
Yes.
No, he's not from a foreign country. He can't pay.
Oh, that's right.
No, it's not as exciting. It is 7:23, isn't it?
Coming up, Byron York. Keep it here at 7:30.
WMAL FM Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It is 7:36. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in. Coming up at 8:05, as we just mentioned, Mary Ann Jensen of Prince William County, that mom who makes the school board members cower in fear. We like that about her for all the good reasons. That's coming up. It's Larry O'Connor with Julie Gunlock. School board members cower in fear from Julie Gunlock as well, but for very different reasons. Good morning, Julie.
Sure. Good morning.
Let's face it, we all cower in fear.
True.
From Julie Gunlock, Byron York is the chief political correspondent at the Washington Examiner, host of the Byron York Show podcast. And Byron, do you have a favorite Halloween costume from years gone by? We've been diving into the memory vault tonight, this morning.
You know, I'm afraid I have unpopular things to say about Halloween. I'm sorry, but I go through these neighborhoods and people have these 13-foot high skeletons,
right?
And they have graveyards in the yard, and
yes.
with headstones, and they have corpses lying around. This is horrible.
Oh my gosh! We're going to go down a tangent.
Okay?
Yes, just put a pumpkin on your porch.
Something like that.
Do you resist, Byron?
Do you
resist every impulse to just stand? Do you want to stand on their front lawn and just scream at the house, "Grow up! Grow up!
Grow up! Don't do this. This is terrible. Terrible."
Yeah.
I agree. Get a mom and get a pumpkin and call it a day. Good grief.
There you go. Thank you.
Yes.
Welcome to the Curmudgeon Morning Show here on WMAL. By the way, if we hadn't already mentioned it, we want all of you off of our lawn immediately. Thank you very much.
Immediately.
Byron, you've been looking north to Gotham here, up the Acela corridor, and you've been witnessing this phenomenon of Zohran Mamdani, and it's like, this is how confident this guy is that he's going to win the election in New York. 2 weeks before Election Day, he goes out of his way to pose with the dude who was like an unindicted co-conspirator in the 1983 World Trade Center. I mean, literally a terrorist.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is extraordinary. Obviously, Zohran Mamdani, if he is elected, would be New York City's first Muslim mayor. And he has actually, I think, built a lot of his campaign on having a huge amount of support in the Muslim community in New York. There are nearly 1 million Muslims in New York City. About 350,000 of them are estimated to be registered to vote. So he visits a lot of mosques. He visits a lot of community centers. But at one, he speaks very warmly, has his photo taken with a man named Imam Siraj Wahaj. And, and people start saying, well, wait a minute, that guy is familiar. And if you,
rings a bell.
If you remember long enough, and maybe a lot of people don't remember long enough, but they can look it up, there were two attempts to bring down the World Trade Center. One was in 1993, in which a group of Muslim terrorists set off a bomb, one of the towers, and in hopes to bring the thing down, didn't work. Killed, I think, 9 people, injured, wounded a ton of people. And then, of course, there was September 11th. And so Imam Wahaj is good buddies with one of the masterminds of the terror plot of 1993. They also wanted to attack a bunch of other New York City landmarks like the United Nations building and things like that. And you may remember there was a cleric known as the Blind Sheikh.
Sure.
Sheikh Abdel Rahman.
Andrew McCarthy famously convicted the Blind Sheikh. It was Andrew McCarthy's big case, yeah.
And so it turns out that this imam that Mamdani met and was photographed with the other day had he started in the Nation of Islam, and then he moved to Sunni Islam, and there were a bunch of radicals coming to the United States, coming to the New York area in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Remember the attack on the World Trade Center was 1993, and they looked for spiritual guidance to the blind sheikh, who, by the way, if you go way back, actually gave the spiritual justification for assassinating Anwar Sadat, and has been an advocate of violent jihad ever since. And so anyway, the bottom line is he's convicted in the plot to blow up the landmarks. And Imam Wahaj, who was photographed with Mamdani, actually testified on the blind sheikh's trials. Speaking of Andy McCarthy, he was a witness on behalf of the blind sheikh, said what a great guy he was. And by the way, there were 3 other defendants that he knew and testified on behalf of. So like 3 or 4 defendants, all of whom were convicted. They were found guilty. This guy testified on behalf of. And just, kind of the icing on the cake, I said this was the 1993 attempt to bring down the World Trade Center. In 2001, of course, it tragically succeeded, and Imam Wahaj will not speak ill of Osama bin Laden. He thinks that maybe bin Laden taking credit for bringing down the World Trade Center was a fake. It was a U.S. government plot, and he will not speak ill of Osama bin Laden, which has got to be some sort of a red flag.
Yeah.
If you're a politician, but not apparently if you were Zoran Mamdani.
So, if I can borrow a phrase from years gone by, Zoran Mamdani's palling around with terrorists, Byron.
Yeah.
And
he's friends of friends with terrorists.
The real story here, though, is that it doesn't make a difference. They're going to elect this guy. Now, is this because New York is so far gone? Or is it because people are underestimating how hated Andrew Cuomo is? Honestly, I put myself in that position. If Curtis Fleetwood drops out of the race and I'm a Republican in New York, I don't know what. I'm not going to vote for either. I'm voting for a real estate agent to come and get me out of this place.
Yeah, it's a horrible choice. There's no doubt about it. But these facts just are what they are. And Mamdani appears to be, headed for victory here. Now, one thing that is interesting, we're talking about September 11th, which next year will be 25 years ago. You're talking about the World Trade Center bombing of 1993, 32 years ago. Mamdani was 2 when the World Trade Center was bombed in 1993, and he was 9 when September 11th happened. So he can say, well, I don't remember these things.
Right.
I
that's
wasn't
all
a part
in the
of that.
past. It's all in the past.
Yeah.
Byron, we got to.
He wasn't a part of that.
We got to take your pulse on the government shutdown. Can you stick with us for another segment here?
Sure.
Later this morning on the Chris Plank Show, that whole transgender thing is trending away from the Democrat Party, and the government shutdown isn't working real well for them either. 9 a.m. on WMAL.
And let's follow up there on the government shutdown. Well, Julie Gunlock, why don't you pick it up? Do you have any more communist questions?
Yes, I have one. I'm going to let you take the shutdown, but I have one quick question. This interesting polling showing that, foreign-born New Yorkers are really propelling Mamdani to a victory. He's losing with native-born New Yorkers. Is this just? Are we going to see more of this with this mass immigration that came into the country over the Biden years and before? Is this sort of the future for big cities in America?
Of course. Certainly it's concentrated in New York City right now because it's such a huge city and because it's a final destination for so many people who come to the United States. But, obviously we were all talking during the Biden incursion at the border. You can't let 5 million people crossed illegally to the United States and expect that they're all going to stay in Eagle Pass. I mean, they're going to come all around the country. And the problem was in that case is that they were all coming unvetted. There was no process. They were just being allowed in basically on their own recognizance, and they're still here. You're definitely going to see this happen all around the country.
We've now hit, I believe, the second longest government shutdown here, and it appears as though the ice is starting to crack. Is that your observation as well? And if so, why do you think it is that now we're moving toward a resolution?
Maybe. I mean, we're talking about hitting 3 weeks tonight at midnight, right? It started on October the 1st. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, first of all, there are a few things like air traffic controllers, and you have to think, my goodness, what's going on? Why are air traffic controllers having to do DoorDash at night to keep things going? How in the world can they not be considered essential? On the other hand, it's been extremely important for Republicans to keep their discipline on this and say to Democrats, okay, we know you want to talk about health care subsidies. We know that's your big thing. But first, you have to open the government, and then we'll talk, because you don't get rewarded for shutting down the government. You may have heard these arguments in the past, because it's exactly what Democrats said to Republicans who shut down the government in the past, because they were attaching conditions to funding the government. Now there is one party attaching conditions to funding the government, and that is the Democrats. And so the message of Republicans to them has to be, no, you don't get rewarded for shutting down the government. First, vote to open the government. Then we will vote we will discuss and vote on your issue, which is exactly what Senator Thune has said to the Democrats. He said, you're going to get a vote on the subsidy. You may not win, but you're going to get a debate. You're going to get a vote, but you got to open the government first.
So do you have a prediction for us, Byron? That we're in the prediction game here, as you know, not the news game.
This is kind of our Beltway conversation. I think in large parts of the country, when you poll people, do you want the government to be open? Of course, yeah, And right. Who do you blame for it? Oh, well, they're all to blame, those politicians, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think it's really that burning an issue. Right. In part because we have over the years changed what a government shutdown is. Obviously, entitlement checks, Social Security, all that stuff is paid for. And remember, I think it was last week on Wednesday, it was going to be the first payday of the military.
Yes.
In the shutdown, and everybody's saying, okay, now that's going to be the line. And when that happens, you're going to see this thing settled. And President Trump took that off the table by paying them.
Yes.
So, the more you reduce the pain from government shutdown, the longer it's going to last.
Mm. There you go. Well, that's Byron York's analysis of it, and he will not be dressing in any costume this Halloween. But ironically,
no 13-foot skeletons. No.
I'm with him.
Ironically, a lot of us are going to be dressing up as Byron York this Halloween. That's actually
for the run on those glasses.
Yes, you can use your Harry Potter costume. Just reuse it.
He does look like a Harry Potter character.
A little bit, yeah.
With the hair, it's like he's selling wands in the
what did
mall.
I do to deserve this?
Yes. Thank you, Byron. Always good to talk to you, my friend.
Thank you, Byron.
Thank you, folks.
7:54.